Good morning. My name is Claudia Ribeiro, and today I have the absolute honor of introducing Mary Margaret Cooper. When I found out I was introducing Mary Margaret, I was like, OMG. Many of you may recognize Mary Margaret from her fiery red hair, but I actually know her as quite the scientific genius. In our 8th grade physical science class, Miss Carroll asked us to come up with a way to remember the prefixes of all of the metric measurements. Thankfully, my class's hero, Mary Margaret, managed to come up with a mnemonic that has carried me all the way from 8th grade to AP Chemistry, and I'd like to share her wisdom with you today. Granny Mama Kelly bakes delicious cookies most Monday nights. Mary Margaret's creativity has continued to impress me long since that class, and I'm certain it will be no different in her speech today. Whether you know her as Mary Margaret or as Gigi da Boss, as I do from her old Spotify username, I know she has something amazing to share today. So please give it up for the one and only Mary Margaret Cooper.
I hate bugs. Ever since I was little, I have hated any and all types of bugs, from cockroaches to ladybugs. Anytime I see a bug, my skin starts to crawl, a chill goes down my spine, and I freak out and call for my dad to come kill it. They seriously scare me. Knowing this about me now, you can only imagine how I reacted to the possibility of having to spend the night in the woods with only a hammock to protect me. Spoiler alert, I was terrified. Almost all of my friends shared this sentiment at my summer camp. I've been going to Camp Ozark in the Ouachita Mountains since I was 7. One of the most famed traditions at camp is the senior trip. The details of the senior trip are never fully revealed to you until you are a senior, but let's just say we girls were not thrilled. The whole week leading up to the trip, my friends and I were nervous and constantly complaining about the bugs, no running water, and sleeping in a hammock. Finally, we got to our camp spot, and the complaining did not stop. Stepping off the bus, I saw some wooden benches in front of me, a tent intended for changing, a fire pit, and a hill that led down to the lake. The counselors directed us to where we'd be sleeping, and I started to dread the night before me even more than before. They explained that we can only sleep between some of the trees in the woods, so we would have to double-decker our hammocks. This meant that one of my friends would be directly above me while I was sleeping. We apprehensively set up our hammocks and sprayed bug spray on everything around us until we felt a little safer. Next, we walked down to the water and boarded the boats to begin our lake day. Still complaining about the sleeping arrangements, one of my counselors had finally had enough. She, like us, had been a camper her whole life and gone on the same senior trip we were embarking on. At the time, she was also afraid of the bugs, but when she started ignoring her fear, the day became one of her favorites she had ever experienced while at camp. You see, by constantly complaining about the trip and finding never-ending faults with it, we had forgotten that this was supposed to be fun. Instead of being scared of the bugs or worried about not being able to shower, we should be thankful for this time with all of our friends. Senior trip had been something we anticipated our whole lives. We needed to enjoy it. Once I stopped focusing on the scary parts of the trip and started cherishing these last few moments with the rest of my friends, the trip became my favorite part of camp from last year. I got to stay up till 3, talking around a fire with my friends from different parts of the country about our plans for senior year and what we are most excited about coming up. I got to wake up and watch the sunrise across the lake and share a peaceful moment with the people who have had a tremendous impact on my life. If I'd continued to complain and worry about every small detail that might scare me, I never would have been able to create these memories. Now, I'm not saying I wasn't scared of going to sleep that night. I completely cocooned myself within my hammock after another round of bug spray. But instead of dwelling on these couple of hours, I chose to think about the positive aspects of this trip, which turned into an incomparable memory for me. Every day, and every situation life throws at us, we have the choice to dwell on what can go wrong, what scares us, or we can choose to ignore these fears and instead experience the joy of living in the moment. To my dear class of 2025, I truly don't know what I'm going to do without y'all next year. You've been my biggest cheerleaders and the best life companions for these past 6 years. And while I am very anxious about the years that await us, my wish for myself and for all of you is to focus on the positive interactions we have, the ridiculous memories we make, and to keep each other updated along the way. Thank you.